Hello, Anthony Peake here for another edition of A Peake Behind the Curtain. This one will be somewhat different. In what I'm talking about today and what I'll be discussing today is music. But not only music, but music specific to me. In the sense that it has been written by a very good friend of mine called Mike Grove. Now, Mike Grove has been a good friend of mine for many, many years and a massive supporter of my work over the years. And indeed, way back, I think, just after my first book came out in 2007, Mike contacted me about how interesting he found the book and everything. But what was more interesting was that Mike also is an extremely talented creator of music. And he performs under the name of Slightfoot, Bigeye, and he has a series of albums he's written over the years that can be found on SoundCloud. And these albums are very, very good, but one of them particularly a few years ago, he sampled my voice and took various ideas from my writings and put them together into an album of songs, which was very, very impressive, and I really enjoyed it. Now, the album of songs, how he did it was he sampled my voice from various sources, including a talk or a recording or a YouTube recording of a talk I gave in Glasgow many, many years ago. And Mike took me talking and then applied that to a really good ambient black beat, very much the sound of the mid-noughties. And in fact, in many ways, his music reminded me to a certain extent of a number of bands that I really enjoyed, such as The Orb and Orbital and Aphex Twin. Indeed, The Orb particularly, because it reminded me of that very famous song Little Fluffy Clouds that The Orb did, where they sampled the American singer-songwriter Rickie Lee Jones reminiscing about her childhood in Arizona and the way the little fluffy clouds went on forever. And it was similar to what he did. But I then kind of lost touch with Mike over the years. He attended a number of my talks over the years, but we kind of lost touch. And then he contacted me again a few weeks ago to say he was thinking of recreating a lot of the songs using modern technology, and I've subsequently discovered the modern technology he was using is applying AI to his work. And he sent me a few days ago the initial recording he did of reggae, using reggae beats, which is very, very good. But then he said, I've also done another version using folk and acoustic sounds for it. And he's called this Inside the Light and Dark, and he's used the name The Ferrygirls for it. And I have to say, it's a song title of around about 10 or 12 tracks, and it is absolutely superb. I cannot stress how much I enjoyed this album. And I then contacted Mike and I said, is it possible that I could broadcast some of the songs? And he said, yes, of course he could. So what I'm going to do in this presentation is I'm going to play you 3 of the songs off the album, because the ones that I'm particularly interested in, the ones I feel I can comment about, the sound quality will be nowhere near as good as on SoundCloud, because it is absolutely excellent, particularly on headphones. But nevertheless, this will give you an idea of the standard of Mike's writing. So without further ado, we'll move into the first song, which is the intro. It's called Intro, and it's the first track. And this track is an interesting one in that Mike has taken, I suspect, something from an Audible version of one of my books, because in it I'm describing in very much detail why it is that somebody is led to my work. Because for many, many years I've been fascinated by the idea of how people get to find my work. And I've been told many, many times by people that they are led to it in one way or another. And this was my attempt to describe in prose what I meant by this. And the song is really very, very good. And if you listen to the lyrics, they are quite powerful. So let's move on and let's listen to this, and I hope you enjoy it.
listen to this recording? What series of events brought about the circumstances whereby you are hearing these words? And why this recording and not the millions of others that you could have chosen? Is it possible that you were guided by a power that you are at present only vaguely aware of? A power that has guided your life to this point, to have you listening to this track and wondering what these words mean.
Well, that was simply superb, wasn't it? Well, in my opinion it was anyway. Particularly because, as I said, that if you listen to the lyrics you will find that it's not poetry, it's prose. But it seemed to come together so well. Now the second song is called The River, and The River was the first song I heard that Mike had done of my work, and this is an even better version. I absolutely love this. Just give it a listen, and again give me your opinions of it.
The theory I put forward I call cheating the ferryman. Cheating the ferryman. Cheating the ferryman. Cheating the ferryman.
Messages across the brain.
The theory goes when you die, you cross the river Styx. When you die, you end up in Hades. I argue that that never happens. Something peculiar happens in the brain at the point of death, which effectively denies the ferryman his fee.
Messages across the brain.
The theory goes
The brain is flooded by a particular neurotransmitter called glutamate. Glutamate, 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 glutamate. Messages across the brain.
glutamate. The theory goes they get very close to death. White light, the big of light. My life flashed before my eyes. You know you're going to die. Car crashes, skydivers, the fame near death experience. The theory goes
You have to know that death is approaching. It slows down your perception of time. It goes past in real time. A literal minute by minute rerun of your life. Rerun of your life. Rerun of your life. Rerun of your life. Rerun of your life.
the theory goes.
You live your life again in a minute by minute recreation. When you live live that life a second time, there is a part of you that remembers the fact you lived it before. And occasionally, there might even be a breakdown in the recording mechanisms within, which is a deja vu.
So a deja vu is that recognition that you have been here before. Been here before. Been here before. Cheating the ferryman. Cheating the ferryman. Been here before. Cheating the ferryman.
As a summation of my cheating the ferryman theory, I can't think of a better song, to be honest. It says it all and describes it all in great detail. And again, it's sampled from a talk I did, as I said, in Scotland a few years ago. But I think they say sometimes that, you know, a tune is worth so much, like a picture is worth 1,000 words. Well, effectively a song, I think, can get an idea across incredibly well. And I think that song, if it ever got out and was allowed to become a single, could be quite sensational, particularly because of its background. The final song I'm going to be discussing now is called Deja Wager, and this again appeared on the first album. And I'm not quite sure, and Mike will be able to correct me on this, as to whether these are in fact his lyrics as well, because these are not my words, but they definitely seem to give a very personal slant on the idea of deja vu, what deja vu is, and whether deja vu is actually telling you that you are in some mysterious way seeing the future. But of course, Cheating the Ferryman attempts to explain deja vu and said it's not at all mysterious but totally logical considering the circumstances. So let's listen to Deja Wager, the last track and the third track that I'm going to be discussing today.
The sense that I could feel before came upon my time, and I was pushed in front of me to listen to its rhyme. He said to me of things to be that I already knew. His words were shadows of themselves, and I was looking through. Beyond the womb, one thought is this: I saw the word to come. Beyond the meaning in his face, I knew what would be done. And just as it had come upon my thinking loud and clear, it seems I live forever here and never disappear. Is this my time, my second time, my third or fourth or fifth? Does this explain my memory and time existing with? If I could will it, will I would the future known to me? curse, or would it set me free?
Wasn't that lyrically extraordinary? The lines that stick out for me: is this my first time, my third, my fourth or last? Does this explain my memories? And of course, Cheating the Ferryman does explain these subliminal memories that we don't know where they come from, and how it is when we're in a set of circumstances whereby we're in a brand new place but we recognise it. But more importantly for me, it's when we meet people for the first time and we instinctively know that either this person is going to be wonderful for me or is going to be a problem. This is the power of Cheating the Ferryman, and this is the power of the Damon Eidolon Dyad. And this is why, although I've not been as successful as I would like to have been in getting my ideas out there, I genuinely believe that my ideas do have validity and deserve to be at least discussed and understood in some way, and even discredited if need be. I really don't mind. But I'd like to thank Mike again for these wonderful songs. But again, may I stress that the album itself is simply wonderful, and if you want to hear these songs in beautiful, beautiful production on headphones or over your hi-fi system, just check them out because they're well worth it. So again, I will put the link below when I post this and the full details, but it's soundcloud.com/Slightfoot-Bigeye, and just check it out. So anyway, thanks for listening in, and I hope that the rest of your week is enjoyable. Thank you very much for listening in, and I'll speak to you again soon. Bye-bye.